The film begins with two Mormon missionaries, Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton, seated together discussing pornography. Specifically, a video Paxton watched that left her feeling pity for the actress involved. Afterward, the two go out into town, engaging with locals in their efforts to share their faith and invite others to convert. While walking the streets, they encounter a group of teenage girls who cruelly prank Paxton by pulling down her skirt, mocking the idea of magic underwear. Paxton later confides in Barnes about how difficult it is to deal with people ridiculing their religion, though Barnes seems mostly unfazed. As a heavy rain sets in, the missionaries arrive at the home of an Englishman named Mr. Reed. They approach him about their mission, and after some brief conversation, he invites them inside. They only agree once he assures them his wife is home, explaining that a woman must be present for such a visit. Reed casually mentions that his wife is baking a blueberry pie. Inside, Reed engages them in a calm but curious discussion about religion. He reveals he's read the Book of Mormon and appears well-versed in its teachings. The conversation touches on deeply personal topics, including Sister Barnes's father, who passed away from ALS, and, strangely, their aversion to discussing Taco Bell. However, the mood subtly darkens when Reed makes a pointed remark about Barnes's father and questions aspects of their faith. He soon excuses himself, leaving the room. Barnes notices the candle Reed left on the table, the supposed source of the blueberry pie scent, and begins to suspect something is off. The sisters grow uneasy and quietly plot their exit, slowly realizing that there may be no Mrs. Reed after all. When they attempt to leave, they discover the front door is locked, and there's no cell signal to call for help. Making their way deeper into the house, they find Reed in his study, surrounded by a vast personal library. As they try to excuse themselves, Reed presents them with a cryptic choice. Two doors, one marked belief, the other disbelief. Just when tension peaks, Reed appears to pull something threatening from beneath the table, only to reveal an original edition of the Monopoly board game. With unnerving calm, he launches into a lecture about the game's origins, explaining how it evolved from the Landlord's Game, a lesser-known predecessor. Reed continues his monologue, weaving in an unexpected connection to the song "The Air That I Breathe" by the Hollies, a track that Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton claim they've never heard. However, Reed points out that they'd likely know "Creep" by Radiohead, which borrowed elements from the older song. This line of reasoning builds toward Reed's grand assertion that all world religions are flawed imitations, mere fragments of what he calls the one true religion. He challenges the missionaries again, inviting them to choose a door, belief or disbelief, based on their true faith in God. Barnes firmly challenges his claims before she and Paxton step through the door marked belief. But instead of salvation, the door leads them into a cold, underground dungeon with no visible way out. A speaker crackles to life and Reed's voice fills the room. An elderly, decrepit woman, whom he refers to as the prophet, enters cradling a messy blueberry pie. Reed calmly informs the women they are about to witness a miracle. The pie is poisoned, and the prophet will die and then be resurrected before their eyes. Meanwhile, Elder Kennedy from the Mormon Church realizes Barnes and Paxton never signed back in. Concerned, he retraces their missionary route, eventually arriving at Reed's house. Inside the dungeon, the women scream for help and even attempt to light a fire using matches to alert him, but Kennedy leaves, unaware of their presence. Moments later, to the women's horror, the prophet stirs and begins muttering cryptic descriptions of the afterlife. Reed descends into the dungeon, smugly proclaiming that they've just witnessed a miracle. He offers to perform another, sacrificing one of them and resurrecting her. Barnes, however, remains unconvinced. She reveals the reason she and Paxton avoid talking about Taco Bell. She had once contracted a deadly E. coli infection and was clinically dead. During her near-death experience, she witnessed visions eerily similar to what the prophet described. But before she can say more, Reed suddenly slashes her throat, confident that she too will return from the dead. After several tense moments, Reed concludes that Sister Barnes cannot be resurrected. Coldly, he cuts into her arm and pulls out a small metal object, claiming it's a microchip. Proof, he argues, that Barnes was never real and that Paxton's entire reality is fabricated. But Paxton sees through the illusion. Calm and defiant, she corrects him. The object was a contraceptive implant, and she knows exactly what he's done. She reveals the truth. Reed's miracle was a hoax. The original prophet had truly died. The woman who came back was someone else entirely, coached by Reed and fed a script to mimic the afterlife. What Reed didn't expect was the woman whispering a chilling message to them off script. It's not real. During the chaos of trying to signal Elder Kennedy, the switch had taken place. Determined to uncover the full truth, Paxton willingly descends through the trapdoor Reed opens for her, under the pretense of showing her the one true religion. What she finds is horrifying: a subterranean prison where numerous women are held captive in cages. In that moment, she understands. Reed's so-called religion isn't about faith, but about control. His goal all along was to manipulate others into believing they were choosing their own fate, even their deaths. As Reed smugly attempts to intimidate her, Paxton strikes, plunging a concealed letter opener previously gifted to her by Barnes straight into his throat. She makes a run for it, but doesn't get far before Reed retaliates, stabbing her in the abdomen with the same weapon. Both collapse, bleeding. She begins to pray more for peace than salvation. As Reed drags himself toward her for one final act of violence, a brutal blow stops him cold. A plank of wood studded with nails slams into his skull, delivered by none other than Sister Barnes. Though wounded and weak, she survives just long enough to fall into Paxton's arms, and then goes still. At last, Paxton finds a window and climbs out into the daylight. The storm has passed. As the morning sun breaks over the horizon, a butterfly lands gently on her hand, an echo of her earlier words when she said she hoped to return as one after death. She gazes at it silently, then looks away, and the butterfly is gone.